Hi, my name is Samuel. I'm here to present my week 4 exercise. This is my repo and this is my branch I did doing Samuel project. You can see the README in the repo where you will come to understand everything I did, the processes and everything I follow to come to the end of this project. What's the project all about is about taking the role of a data engineer in an e-commerce or a retail company, whereby they have a website where they use to collect different information about customer, their order number, the product they buy, and everything. And then this data are stored in a CSV. As a data engineer, you just come on board. I am asked to actually transform this data, do some data modeling, put them in separate data, and then run some analytics on this data and then build an API endpoint where we can actually fetch different info for the probably front-end application or to whoever is interested in using the API. So that's what the project is all about. So this is the workflow. You can see this is the data in CSV, performing it here, the extract, transform, and load. During our extraction form, we actually did some data modeling before we load our data by assigning primary key and foreign key to our data. Then we load our data to the database, and then we built an API point. I built an API point that's connected to database, and then I also use a dbVars to run some analytics. I use a pgadmin to view my table when I was doing all this stuff, but when it comes to analytics, I prefer dbVar because it makes SQL quite easy to understand and also give some correction function. So you can see the screenshot of the analysis that was done after doing all the pipeline and everything on the table. So, and if you want to try the project out, you can actually clone this repo, go to my branch, use Poetry. Poetry is the package manager that was used to manage all the packages here, to install all the packages and dependency, and then run the Python code, and then check 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 the API point via the URL. So I'm going to take us through the hands-on practical in just the next couple of minutes. So please follow through. So I'll be taking us locally to my folder because what I just showed you now is my repo. So I have different folder. I have the API, the data where the data is stored. The API is where I have my CRUD function that was used for the calculation that was done on the API side. And then the router is where all the endpoint and the GET request was set. Why the schema is what was used to validate, using Pedantic to validate what was returned in the endpoint. Then the data is where the data were given the e-commerce data set. Then the database, this part is where we actually set up the database using SQL Alchemy, create the table model. I created some utils function to actually put the name of the table and the schema name. And also the images is where I actually put all the screenshot of the analytics I did, the architecture and the data model picture. And then I created a logger. So I did not want to print out my error on the console. So I want to store it in a log file. So I created a logger, a logging function, which was imported in all the code. And then this is my notebook. When it comes to doing data modeling or checking out data or transforming data, I prefer using notebook to actually explore my data first, and that really helped me a lot because I was able to see a lot of issue with the customer ID, and I saw that we don't really have a unique customer ID. We have issues where a customer ID is used by 4 different devices, 4 different persons, 2 different gender. So that actually helped me to make a better decision when I was creating my data modeling. And I found out that we only have 42 products in all these products, which helped me to create a unique table for products. So after doing all these things, I then moved to my script. So it was what I did from the notebook that was actually put together in my load data.py. Just put in some extra Python function to make sure that everything is intact. Then I wrote some utility functions. I wrote some config. I used cycle PG2 to actually insert. Why? Because it's faster. It's a low level. It's much closer to the Postgres. SQL Alchemy was built on this to manage Postgres. So in case the data is large, and I also implemented the on conflict that was said in the instruction. So I put that part. Then I actually set my environment. I just use, since the local based deployment, I just put the direct URL to my local Postgres admin. And this is my log file. You can see the log history of how I've been trying to test my data. And then the poetry file, you can see the packages that was installed. Actually, I'm still trying to use poetry to start my main.py, but I was having some kind of issue. I will look at that later. Then my main.py is where I actually call all my function together, which means when you run this, the API, the table is created, the data is clean, and the API connection is open. So I'm going to actually run us through all this. So that's the brief overview about all this project. So let's do that. So I'm going to enter into the folder. This is the folder, and then I'm going to run the main.py. Before I do that, I'm going to run my poetry. I love starting my poetry first because that's the package manager. It's going to create the virtual environment where all the packages are used to run everything that is installed already. So after I do that, I just run my Python main.py, which actually starts all the processes. The first part is going to actually start everything. Okay, the database does not exist. That's what it's telling me right now. So I'm going to create a database here. Okay. So this is the name of the database that I use is Commerce DB. So it's quite simple with pgadmin. You just go to create, then you put the name, and then you put save. So that's all you have to do. Then you come back here. Let me just clear the console, the terminal, and then let me just run this. So does not exist. E-commerce DB does not exist. Okay, let me check again. Okay, my bad. I added those codes. Sorry. So let me just. Okay, this is perfect. Let's save it, and then let's clear this and run our code again. So while you run this code, you not see anything here. Why? Because there's a log. The logs is being stored here. So if you check our current time, this is 2:59, and then if you check what's happening here, this code started running at 2:58. Process started at so time. Initiated database. That shows our data is connected to our database successfully. Now it's trying to run the API pipeline. Now it has read the data successfully. Then every other process is actually going underground to the last stage, which is actually calling the API URL. So why doing okay, our API is currently running, so we can copy this and go into our browser. I was thinking of running dbvars while I was actually going through this. So just put this here. So I don't check the Swagger UI. Yeah, so this is it. We have our customer endpoint, our order, and our analytics. So on this customer endpoint, I actually add pagination to it because there's a whole lot of data. So if you try this out and then you execute it, you get the first 50 customer. And then on the customer ID, all you have to do is just to put an ID here. Try it out. Just put like 2. Let's okay. I think we have a customer that is 771173. Should I still remember any of the customer? Okay. I do not. I will have to go to my notebook to actually get one of the customer details because I don't really have the details. So we can just go into the data and get the customer number. Okay, this is a customer. So we can go back here and then put this number here and then execute. Okay, and so try this out. Execute. Okay, this was supposed to bring out the customer ID, but I don't know why this is happening. So I'll check that later. But for the order, if you also want to get the order, you can just check the paginated part. You actually get the order. Okay, this is the order. You actually get the order. So when you go to the product analytics and then you click on trials, you click on execute. So we get the total sales, the total profit, the total shipping. And then when you go to analytics stores products and then you just try this out and you execute it, we get the top products, product ID 10, fashion shirt. We have the highest number of sold, same thing as fashion, t-shirt, jean, suit. Yeah. So when you go to product and then you try to get the product and just try this out, you have a total of 42 products. So these are the 42 products. And also when you go to get order, so let's say we want to get order 4, let's just say, so this is the order number 4. This is the customer ID that got it, this is the priority and everything. And let's say we want to get all the order. We added page into this. So so that because before I added paging, it was actually very slow. Like it's even crashing. It's printing the data on this console here. I have to come to this console here to see the data. So I had to add paging. So after that, I then connected BDVAS to my Postgres. So this is BDVAS. I love BDVAS because it's very easy to actually run analytics there. So these are the database I have. So I can actually see the database information and run some scripts against it. So let's go back here. So I answer some of the questions. For example, top three category with the highest revenue. Just copy this code. This is the output here. I screenshot here. So you can just paste this here, run this, and then what is saying? Okay, line one. Oh, mistake. Oh, I didn't copy the code very well. Oh, yeah, I didn't copy it very well. Um, okay, I think I did a mistake when I was in my README, so I'm going to edit that part because the code are actually well written. You can see them in the screenshot. So if I paste this code here, then I run this. Yeah, so we are seeing this is the total number of unique customers. So other code. So I'm going to actually edit my README. So that's all about how I went about this task. There's still a lot of improvement to be done, which I know because this is just part of what we are learning. So this is the overview of how of what I've accomplished on my task force so far. Thank you.